If anyone makes my little brother cry, I won't forgive you.
Almost all of my childhood memories feature my sis, Sharon, who is 5 years older than me. When I was young and weak, I was often bullied and ridiculed by the neighborhood kids, called names like skinny. Whenever I came home crying, Sharon would get as mad as a hornet, broom in hand, and chase the neighborhood bullies around with a face that could scare a demon. She, covered in dirt and scrapes from all over, would always say this with a proud stance and a broom over her shoulder.
I'll always protect you, Terry.
My name is Terry Harold. I've been working in sales at a major printing company for 3 years now, a 25-year-old office worker. I'm always busy working. When I was 13, our single mother passed away from illness, and since then, I've been living with my older sis, Sharon. After graduating from college, I moved out when I got a job. Sharon took over our mom's role, attending high school and working at the same time, so I wouldn't feel the loneliness of being parentless. She really took care of me and our home. I can't thank her enough. Since it was hard to live on our mom's survivor's pension alone, Sharon took a part-time job to make ends meet and left the insurance money our mom had left us to pay for my college, and never touched it. Knowing that she was a top student with dreams of becoming a teacher and was studying hard for college, I always felt guilty. Right after our mother passed away, I once walked past the family restaurant where she worked. Inside, fashionable high school girls were enjoying sweets and studying with their friends. My sis, on the other hand, seemed to have made some mistake and was bowing her head in apology to a customer. She can't even have fun like other high school students. I couldn't bear it and hurriedly left.
Are you studying properly? Do you want me to help with anything you don't understand?
When she came home from her part-time job and said that while peering at my desk, I snapped, "Didn't you have dreams of becoming a teacher? You should go to college. Quit your job." She, who had been looking at me in surprise, said, "My greatest wish is to help you become a successful adult. Don't worry about anything and just study hard." Then she gently stroked my head. I was so moved that I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. We weren't wealthy even when our mother was alive, so we were used to being poor. But life after our mother passed away was even worse. Sharon would only buy clothes for me.
I think this will suit you, Terry. Try it on.
She smiled up at me, and her clothes had holes mended here and there. When I told her to buy clothes for herself, she'd laugh and say, "I have nowhere to wear them to." Her specialty, stir-fry, was the only dish on my plate that contained meat. Whenever I tried to put meat on her plate, she'd refuse, saying she was on a diet. Despite her claims of dieting, she had a supermodel-like figure without an ounce of fat. One day, a classmate of mine stopped by our house to borrow a book on his way home from school. Sharon welcomed my friend and served macaroni cheese for dinner. When my friend tilted his head and said, "What's this?" I was internally panicking, but it was too late. "We use more milk than cheese. It's delicious. Enjoy," she said with a smile. The next day, the guys in my class started calling me Milk. I just let them talk and didn't pay them any mind, but a few days later, an incident occurred on my way home from school. As I was walking alone, 3 of my classmates chased after me from behind.
"Mr. Milk, let's walk home together, huh? LOL.
What's for dinner today,
It's a cup of milk. Heat a lot."
They ridiculed me and gave me a hard time. I was so annoyed and turned around. "Hey!" Just as I was about to grab one of them, Sharon appeared in front of me. "Sharon," she stood there calmly and spoke.
I'm sorry, Terry. It's because of me. But don't bother with these losers.
Then she turned around and showed them a video on her phone of us just now.
Are you guys idiots? Doing this sort of thing? You want to throw your future away. Their parents will cry.
We winded you.
My classmates faltered. She let out a dramatic sigh, leaned into the trembling guys, and spoke.
Please be nice to my little bro, or else you'll be in big trouble.
Her eyes, already narrowed even further, instilling fear. Guys hurriedly responded, "We're so sorry," and quickly ran off. I just laughed out loud, looking at Sharon, thinking I'll never beat her. Thanks to my powerful sis, I was able to make it into what the general public would call an Ivy League university. I got a job at the largest printing company in the industry, and when I got the job offer, Sharon cried and celebrated with joy. I was more pleased to see her happy face than the fact that I had received the job offer.
Harold, let's go grab a bite.
My coworker, Nick, called out to me. Looking at the clock, it was pointing at 12 noon. I said yes, and quickly got up and put on my jacket.
Mitchell, get over here.
When I turned around, I saw Mitchell, who had been assigned to this department a month ago, being scolded by Manager Johnson.
That Johnson, always dumping his work on mild-mannered Mitchell.
Nick said, clicking his tongue. I heard he not only dumps his work on others, but he also took credit for his subordinates' work and got promoted to manager. Is that true? Looking at Mitchell, who was bowing and apologizing to the manager, I couldn't help but feel irritated and asked,
Yeah, he seems to have done some pretty bad things before he came here. He always targets the weak.
Mitchell is a kind and quiet guy. Ever since we joined the company, he was always smiling, always taking the lead in doing undesirable tasks, a hard worker, and trustworthy. He might be slow at work, but he's careful and precise. I've been saved by him several times. I hope he's all right, I murmured to myself as looking at Mitchell, and Nick said, "Don't get involved. You'll be his next target," and petted my shoulder. Then, one day, Mitchell returned to the office in an unusually high spirit. Mitchell, did something good happen? As I called out to him from across the desk, Mitchell replied with a happy face.
I got an order for the packaging of a spa salon's original products.
What? That salon has, like 120 branches nationwide. Man, congrats, Mitchell. Mitchell had been diligently visiting this spa salon for years, building up trust slowly through small jobs. Since I know how hard Mitchell had worked, I was as happy as if it were my own achievement. That evening, I invited Mitchell out for a drink. Let's go drinking tonight. I'll treat you to celebrate your big order. However, Mitchell, who had been so energetic during the day, seemed down and said, "I'm sorry, I'm just not in the mood," and quickly left for home. From the next day, Mitchell was off work due to poor health. What could have happened? He was so excited. As I was gazing blankly at Mitchell's desk, Nick told me,
He lost a big order from an aesthetic salon to Johnson.
"What? But Mitchell spent years on."
Seems like Johnson gave Mitchell another small task.
In anger, I slammed my desk. Nick quickly calmed me down, saying, "Harold, calm down. Don't do anything unnecessary." I jumped up from my seat. The chair hit the wall behind me with a loud noise. Shaking off Nick's hand that was trying to stop me, I walked briskly toward the manager's desk. "Manager, is it true that you took the spa salon job from Mitchell?" I shouted so loudly that it echoed through the office. Manager Johnson, removing his glasses, said, "What's the meaning of this, Harold? Answer me, did you take Mitchell's job?" I yelled at the manager, leaning on his desk with both hands.
I did not steal it. Mitchell said the task was too much for him and asked me to take over. You're too rude.
He, red-faced, stood up and yelled back, banging on his desk. "Liar. Mitchell spent years getting that job. He was so happy, he would never say something like that. You're just a useless hyena who can only dump your work on others and steal their work." He stood up, his face bright red, wincing and shaking, and shouted, "Harold, you'll regret this. Get the hell out of here." Immediately, Nick rushed over, apologized, and forcibly took me to the break room. He gave me a glass of water.
Harold, what on earth were you doing? He's still your boss. Well, you're not wrong about what you said. But still, be careful from now on. He's going to try to crush you.
I'm ready for it. I said that and drained my water in one gulp. 1 month later, I had arranged to have dinner with Sharon on this day. I made a reservation at an Italian restaurant that she loves.
Sorry. I got caught in an annoying phone call right as I was leaving.
She sat at the table and looked at me curiously.
Have you lost weight? You're not eating properly because you're living alone, right?
That's not true. I've just been a little busy recently. What do you want to eat? Don't hesitate to order. It's on me. I spread the menu out cheerfully and showed it to her.
This is quite a nice restaurant. Do you come here with your girlfriend?
She asked me as if teasing, while looking at the menu. I don't have a girlfriend. What about you? Do you have a boyfriend?
Yes, I do have a boyfriend.
What? Who is he? Are you going to marry him?
Oh, stop it. I'll introduce him to you soon.
She said shyly and hid her face with a menu. I felt a little complicated. Of course, I want her to be happier than anyone, but I also felt a little lonely. Glancing at her, I saw a clover pendant swaying on her chest. It was something I bought with my saved pocket money at a street stall as a memento for her 20th birthday. Are you still wearing that? Doesn't suit a 30-year-old woman. I'll buy you a new one. As I said that half embarrassedly, she replied, "Leave me alone. I like it," and gently stroked the pendant. I felt a little embarrassed again. After a delicious meal, and sipping on a well-paired wine, and talking with her for the first time in a while, my tired heart felt a little more energized. It's okay. I can keep going from tomorrow, I told myself over a glass of wine. Then suddenly she leaned over and asked, "So, what really happened?" "Huh?"
Terry, your sis isn't blind.
She stared into my eyes and said, I couldn't hide anything from her. Since that incident, I had been harassed in various ways by Manager Johnson at the company. Ignoring me was a given. I was isolated in the document room and made to organize documents. I was forced to make a huge amount of unnecessary documents, and when I submitted them, they were thrown in the trash in front of me saying I don't need it anymore. From washing the company car, distributing flyers for customers in front of the station, I was hardly allowed to do any decent sales work, and a month was about to pass. I thought about talking to my boss about it, but Manager Johnson used Mitchell, who had finally recovered and started coming to work, as a shield, saying, "Mitchell is a kind-hearted man, so if you cause a fuss, he might be heartbroken again to find out he was the cause." Nick was worried and told me, "Just apologize to him already. That will make him feel better," but I had absolutely no intention of apologizing. If it comes down to it, I'll punch Manager Johnson and quit. I spit out the same words I had said to Nick at the time in front of Sharon and drained my wine. She had been silently listening to my story while sipping her wine, but after hearing that, she put down her glass and quietly said,
Terry, don't stoop to that scum's level.
I was reminded of her during the milk incident. Her slanted eyes were raised even higher.
Actually, I had another story for you today.
Huh, what is it? She finished her wine with a defiant smile.
Good and smiling.
Manager Johnson, surprised, took off his silver-rimmed glasses and looked at me.
The major family chain with 1,000 stores nationwide.
I was standing in front of his desk, reporting on the sales. The manager pondered for a moment and leaned forward, asking me excitedly, "When did you start dealing with them?" They contacted me. I've handled a few small, sudden tasks with tight deadlines for them in the past. I was around quite often, so maybe they felt sorry for me. They contacted me this time. May I take charge of this? He suddenly changed his attitude and said in a sweet voice,
Harold, you seem a little worn out recently, so you should take it easy.
"No, I'm fine. Besides, they specifically requested me to."
Enough. I'll handle this matter. You back off and assist. I'll let you prepare the materials for the negotiation. Get back to work.
Interrupting my words, he turned his back to me swiftly. His back seemed to silently taunt me with, "Now I'm surely up for a promotion. Ha." On the day of the meeting, as I was about to leave with Manager Johnson, Mitchell came up to me with some documents.
I don't know if this will be of any use.
What he handed me was a document comparing promotional goods from about 100 specialty dessert shops across the country. It was something he had gathered over many years.
I thought this might come in handy. I used to visit dessert shops across the country, both as a hobby and to gain practical knowledge. It might give you some insights on how to differentiate from other shops.
"Mitchell, this is really precious. Thank you. I'll make good use of it." I thanked him and headed to the negotiation. Waiting nervously in the conference room of the Good and Smile Inc. headquarters, Manager Johnson and I sat down.
The promotion manager on their side is a young woman. She might be easy to sway on this case, huh?
He said with a chuckle. Just then, the door opened and a woman appeared.
I apologize for keeping you waiting.
We got up and said hello. "Idiot. The person you said was easy is my sis." I looked at Sharon and yelled inside my heart. She got a job at a diner where she used to work part-time after graduating from high school. After working for 6 years, she passed a promotion exam and became a store manager. Her hard work and innovative ideas led to a significant increase in the diner's sales. As a result, she was promoted to the head office, where she now works as a promotion manager. She often told me that the effort she put in as a manager is now helping her in her current job. I realized and knew how great Sharon was when I started working, and I really respected her passion for her work. Although I'm her younger bro, she always carried herself like a successful businesswoman, and she looked especially cool today, which made me proud.
We're in charge of your company. I'm Johnson. Nice to meet you.
Manager Johnson greeted her with a modest attitude.
Isn't Harold in charge?
When Sharon asked him that, Manager Johnson laughed and said he has only been with the company for 3 years and lacks experience, so I will take care of it.
I see.
She glanced at me. I was reminded of that day. After dinner with her, I told her about Manager Johnson. She said, while drinking her wine,
Actually, I had another thing to talk to you about today, Terry.
"Huh, what is it?"
Terry, you're in charge of our company, right?
"Yes, but I've only been handling minor cases. It's tough to break into your company because it has strong connections with other companies."
At a recent meeting, our company officially decided to open a new dessert specialty store. Your company has just developed a special process for paper, right? It's perfect for both promotional materials and interior design for this store, so we'd like to hear about it.
I leaned in eagerly. "We've got lots of new designs coming out. If we could get an order, it would be a huge help for our company." She crossed her arms and thought for a moment before speaking.
I bet that manager will take this case from you two, just like what happened with Mitchell. Okay, let's keep it a secret that I'm your sis until the day of the negotiation.
Why?
Just wait and see. I'll expose his true colors.
She chuckled. We exchanged greetings and made small talk. Until then, Manager Johnson had been behaving like an enthusiastic manager. skillfully engaging in conversation. However, when the negotiation began, he quickly became quiet and passed everything on to me. It was clear that he doesn't know about our company's products and is just trying to gloss over his lack of knowledge.
I'm concerned about the durability of plant-based products. Manager Johnson, could you explain?
When Sharon asked that, he again said, "Harold will explain," and passed it to me. Just when I was about to start explaining, she said with a frustrated look,
I asked you, Manager Johnson. You haven't answered any of my questions. Do you know nothing about it?
No, that's not the case at all. It's about dividing roles. Harold, explain it quickly. Isn't she angry because you're dilly-dallying? Don't disgrace me.
He said this, sweating bullets while prodding me.
No more, thanks?
She said flatly. Then she looked at me and said, "Terry, I'm surprised you can work under such a boss." Sharon. Manager Johnson looked back and forth between us with his mouth opening and closing like a goldfish.
Terry, your sister.
Sharon stood up and bowed.
Thank you for always taking care of my brother. I am Terry's sister.
He hastily stood up from his chair and addressed me.
Harold, you should have told me about this in advance.
I'm sorry, she said she would introduce herself during the meeting.
Manager Johnson, I heard you snatched the work your subordinates struggled to get and made it your achievement, and you got promoted to section manager. It's unbelievable for an elite.
Sharon said with a sarcastic smile. Then Manager Johnson retorted, I don't need to hear that from a high school graduate like you.
A friend of mine from the restaurant industry happened to work with you and told me a lot. Don't preach to a university graduate elite, acting so pompous while you were just a restaurant manager.
I was infuriated and confronted him. Hold on a second. My sister, she gave up on going to college for my sake. Ever since our mother passed away, she has been like a parent to me, working all the time during her prime years.
Terry.
After she became a manager, she spent sleepless nights studying several languages. She has studied so hard that she can communicate with foreign tourists who come to the restaurant, and that led to a significant increase in the number of foreign tourists. She thought of all kinds of strategies, negotiated with the headquarters, went out on foot, and worked tirelessly. She has come this far by putting in a lot of effort. She's much more amazing than you, who can only snatch your subordinates' work. I said this while shaking with anger. Manager Johnson said, looking at me with a mocking attitude, it's common for a subordinate to be a stepping stone for their boss. If you don't like it, you should get promoted yourself. What the hell are you talking about? As I was about to grab him, Sharon stopped me and said, thank you, Terry. I was very happy that you defended me. But it's okay now. She picked up the cell phone that had been turned over on the table. Sharon? Looking at the cell phone, it seemed to have been on a call the whole time. Then she spoke into the phone. Did you hear that? Please, come in. Manager Johnson looked pale and said, What's going on? After a while, the conference room door opened. What? Why are you here? To my surprise, our boss, Sales Department Manager Merritt, came in.
Manager Merritt.
Manager Johnson stumbled and fell on his butt.
What a pathetic sight, Manager Johnson. The mask of the elite employee has come off.
Manager Merritt stood in front of him and looked down at him with a pitying expression. Then, squatting down in front of him, Manager Merritt put his hand on Johnson's shoulder and said, I couldn't believe it when I heard from Sharon. But you were really such a person.
If you keep doing this, you will lose your subordinates' trust, and the organization itself won't be able to function. You lack awareness as a manager. Start over from a sales office in the countryside.
Manager Merritt, please, not that.
He was forcibly made to stand by the subordinates of Manager Merritt, who entered, and he left the room.
I met Mr. Merritt at the time of my restaurant. He used to come to my restaurant as a customer almost every day. At that time, he had just become a manager, and I also had become a restaurant manager. So we started talking about our work troubles and complaints. Before we knew it,
She said this while looking at Manager Merritt. So the person you're dating is Manager Merritt. The two of them awkwardly looked at each other. Manager Merritt said to me in a sincere tone, "Sorry to surprise you. I was planning to greet you properly at another time, but I wanted to take this opportunity to express my feelings. I'm thinking of marrying Sharon. Can you give us your blessing?" Startled, I stammered, "Blessing. If she chooses you, I have no objections. Please take care of my sister," and bowed my head.
The issue with Manager Johnson is due to my lack of management. I'm truly sorry. You don't need to worry about Mitchell. I'll handle it appropriately.
Mitchell's face surfaced at his words. Sharon returned Mitchell's materials as she spoke.
please tell Mitchell that these materials were very helpful. Thanks to them, I've come up with an idea to differentiate ourselves from other companies.
Not just Mitchell, but Nick was worried about you too. Apparently, he intended to expose Manager Johnson's harassment and gather evidence to help you.
With that, he gave me a smile. "Nick, I was a little surprised by the uncharacteristic action of him, who usually avoids trouble, but I felt warmth in my heart."
We have a good team. Let's continue working together to do great work.
He tapped my shoulder as he said this. "Yes?" I nodded with resolve. Sharon saw me off to the lobby as I left. "I'll have the documents ready by our next meeting."
Good, I'll be counting on you, Terry.
She called out to my retreating back.
No need for your big sister to protect you anymore.
"Huh?" When I turned around, she had a lonely look on her face.
After all, you have plenty of people around you who care about you, don't you?
"Sharon."
You even protected me earlier. I knew it all along, but you've grown up.
She had tears welling up in her eyes.
It's a strange feeling, happy and yet sad.
Then she wiped the tears that had fallen and said with a smile that looked just like our late mother,
Thanks to you, I've been able to get this far. Ever since Mom passed away, you've always been by my side. Thank you. I'll be counting on you from now on.
"That's my line. Thank you for always taking care of me." I tried not to cry, but it was no use. Memories from my childhood flooded back. "Be happy with Manager Merritt," I said in a choked voice, then turned my back on her.
Yay!
I heard her tearful voice behind me and walked on, looking up so my tears wouldn't fall. By the time I stepped outside, the sun had considerably set. The setting sun shone beams of farewell light through the gaps between the skyscrapers. I took a big, deep breath and started walking slowly. When I get back to the office, I'll invite Nick and Mitchell out for a good drink tonight. Before I knew it, my pace quickened and I panted as I walked through that light-dyed cityscape. And then, pushed on by the warm light, I found myself running without realizing it.